Check, check one, two, check one, two. Testing three, four.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Not bad, huh?
Okay, it's 7 o'clock. We're going to get started. Please rise. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Good evening. Before we start our meeting, I'd like to do a moment of silence for Ken Gregory, who was a longtime teacher here at Athens, who passed away, and Barb Latchford, who was an elementary teacher here at Athens that passed away recently. Thank you. Okay, thank you very much. We'll start the meeting off with the approval of the minutes for Tuesday, October 10th and Tuesday, October 17th, 23. If there is no discussion or just concern about these, we will pass them unanimous consent. Any discussion on these? Okay, these will be passed unanimous consent. We are going to take an executive session now for personnel and legal. We shall return soon. Thank you. Okay, we are back from our executive session. We're gonna start the meeting now. We're gonna start, there is no presentation this meeting, but we will start with committee reports. Finance and Operations Committee, please. Do we have someone to report?
We don't have anything to report.
Nothing to report,
No,
okay.
we don't. Jeff
Personnel and
Schrader.
Policy Committee, I know you have a lot to report.
Of course we do. Be very happy to report. So we had a number of first reads this evening. And some of these included PSBA areas where we needed to make selections or recommendations, which we did as a committee. We went through a number of these policies. You can see them listed on the agenda. That's 302, 304, 815 and 819. We did look at a policy 305, which is related to substitute teachers. And we are going to table this policy for a future meeting because it requires some further review and guidance related to our contract with ESS. So the superintendent and business manager can take a look at it and give us some advice over how we approach that policy. So that was 305. We reviewed 3 other policies that were just in need of regular updates. 301, 304.1, and 304.2. 304.2 relates to the hiring and evaluation of athletic coaches, and we've sent that one through first read. We don't have any other changes to it, but we would like the extracurricular committee to look at that and just see if they have any recommendations they want to make on that policy. So we recommend that we send it through, first read this evening, but before it gets to second read, we would like to ask that.
Okay.
Otherwise, I think that's it.
Thank you. Okay, up next, we have Curriculum, Instruction and Technology Committee.
Yes, I will present. Mr. Clark presented a new personal finance curriculum for an existing course that he would recommend. They've reviewed that with the teacher that currently teaches it. It's something that would help our students with, and we've reviewed it and went over some of it during that meeting. It was something that would really help our students with having a better understanding of finances and basic, bank accounts, savings, credit, credit cards, interest rates, those types of things that are all important for everyone. It falls in line also with a course, and it's the same curriculum that is taught in the middle school, but this will be for the high school and for the high school level. This is something we'll have out for everybody to review it, and we would ask to be on a voting for approval for December, and then that would give the teacher enough time to work through it and to get it going for the next semester. And that's all we had.
Thank you.
So will this class be a half a semester then, or a half a year class? How many credits will it be? Thank you.
Any other questions? Okay, extracurricular activities, Mr. Rude.
Session 3 of the after-school rec program is in session now. We have 110 students participating. Youth basketball started with 14 teams consisting of boys and girls in grades 1 through 6. The row mat room is complete for the youth wrestling and junior high team. Thanks to everyone that worked on the room for the kids. Over 100 kids between grades K through 6 will be participating in that youth room. The winter sports will start November 17th.
Well, this Friday.
Yep, that is it.
All right, thank you very much. Up next, superintendent reports, Mr. Stage.
I just want to make one quick announcement. I want to thank both the social studies department at the high school and Mrs. Davis, Mr. Maynard, Mrs. Sullivan for the extraordinary Veterans Day celebrations that we had last week. I love that we get to honor our veterans and we invite them in and we do something special for them. And it was quite incredible. Our students were excellent. It was a very, very great experience, both at the high school in the morning and at the middle school in the afternoon. And I just wanted to take a moment and thank all of the people involved in making those days happen. So I'm going to keep that pretty brief for you guys, and thank you.
Thank you very much.
I have one more thing.
Nope.
Typical.
Okay, go ahead.
I encourage everybody to take a look at our cell phone and social media video that we posted this week. I interviewed Mr. Schmeg and Mr. Clark, and we talked about kind of the pros and cons, the double-edged sword that cell phones present to our youth, and the pros and cons of social media and how it impacts the learning environment. So I encourage everybody to check that out. It's listed on our Facebook page, and Athens Schools as our YouTube page, and it's on there as well. And I really, really strongly encourage parents to take an active role in both their child's cell phone usage and what apps they use for social media, because those things can really bring mental health problems. It's the root of most of our bullying and cyberbullying issues, and it impacts the learning environment radically. So we're really, really, really pushing people to be active in controlling that and giving students the opportunity and young children the opportunity to grow the skills necessary to be good digital citizens. So I just want to make sure that's out there. Thank you.
Thank you. Up next, Blast IU 17. There is no representative. NTCC, Mr. Owen.
No update, this month. The next meeting is, this week, actually, so I'll have an update next month.
Thank you. Mr. Jones, PSBA.
I have nothing to report. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Barrett, solicitor report.
Yes, I have something. And because I'm going to recommend a board action before I'm done, I would like the board to amend the agenda to add to the agenda a resolution authorizing the board president and secretary to provide written notice of charges pursuant to the school code and supporting case law. If the board authorizes that amendment, I will proceed to explain it further.
Do I have a motion and a second to bring this to the agenda for voting?
So moved.
Christine, when you're ready.
Mr. Owen,
Yes.
Mr. Rude,
Yes.
Mrs. Smart,
Yes.
Ms. Braun,
Yes.
Mr. Terrasnowski,
Yes.
Mrs. Cooper,
Yes.
Mr. Frisbee,
Yes.
Mr. Jones,
Yes.
and Mrs. Minnick.
Yes.
Okay, Mr. Barrett.
Just to preface my remarks, this is a personnel matter. And as always, our personnel matters are kept fairly confidential, very confidential, out of fairness and out of the legal requirements. I've already read the title of the resolution. I'm going to go through it. Whereas the Board of School Directors directs and authorizes the president and secretary to sign statements of charges related to the conduct outlined in the statement of charges and notice of hearing for the employee, and I've referenced her by name of P-001. And whereas the district is directed and authorized to follow all procedures outlined in the school code of 1949 as amended and supplemented, including but not limited to section 24, pertinent statute, section 11-1126 and 11-1127. Now therefore, it is hereby resolved as follows. The foregoing recitals are incorporated herein by reference. To the president and secretary the president and secretary are directed and authorized to sign a statement of charges and notice of a hearing as presented, a copy of which will be incorporated by reference. 3, the district is directed and authorized to take all steps necessary to proceed in accordance herein pursuant to the laws of the Commonwealth, including the school code and the Public Employer Relations Act, both as amended and substituted. Strike that, both as amended and supplemented. Enacted and resolved as a resolution of the Athens Area School District, Bradford County, Pennsylvania, as duly assembled public meeting this 14th day of November, 2023. And for various reasons, which I've explained in executive session, I would ask that you would approve that resolution, please. By motion.
Okay, so we need a motion and a second then for the charges that Mr. Barrett has brought to us.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, so we are now voting on those charges. Christine?
Mr. Rude,
Yes.
Mrs. Smart,
Yes.
Ms. Braun,
Yes.
Mr. Charles-Nelson.
Yes.
Mrs. Cooper,
Yes.
Mr. Frisbee.
Yes.
Mr. Jones,
Yes.
Mrs. Minnick. Yes. And Mr. Owen.
Yes.
That concludes my report, Mr. President.
Thank
Mr.
you.
President, can we
Yes.
make sure that resolution document is entered into
Yes.
the whole document?
The whole document? Yeah. Mr. Barrett, do you have a copy of that, please? Thank you. That concludes your report. Okay. Up next, we have visitor comments on board action items only. Please give your name, the organization which you represent, and subject matter. It's requested that comments be kept to 3 minutes. Comments relative to private student or employee matters should be directed to the superintendent outside of the meeting. Are there any visitor comments on board action items only? I see none. We'll move forward to financials. Do I have a motion and a second to bring forth financial business for discussion?
So moved.
Second.
Okay, these are our bills. There's quite a few. We also have our general fund checks, cafeteria bills, secretary report for September and October. Tax report for October, request for proposal for physical therapy services memo. And ESS nurse sub rate increase addendum for 23-24 school year. Any discussion?
Yes.
Okay.
Letter H, the nurse sub rate increase.
Okay.
If you look at it, there's a typo on there, I think needs corrected. For the discounted bill rate of 2032 to 2024.
Oh, yep.
Number 1.
Nice catch. Any other discussion? Okay. So when we vote on that, it'll be the 2023-2024 school discounted bill rate. Okay, when you're ready, Christine.
Mrs. Smart,
Yes.
Ms. Braun,
Yes.
Mr. Charles-Nelson.
Yes.
Mrs. Cooper,
Yes.
Mr. Frisbee,
Yes.
Mr. Jones,
Yes.
Mrs. Minnick,
Yes.
Mr. Owen.
Yes.
And Mr. Rude.
Yes.
Thank you. Do we have a motion and do we have a motion and a second for personnel items to bring forth to discussion?
So moved.
Second.
We have some professional retirements, support retirements, some resignations for support contracts, and athletic volunteers for girls wrestling, cheer, and swimming. Any discussion on these items? Okay, Christine, when you're ready.
Ms. Braun,
Yes.
Mr. Charles-Nelson.
Yes.
Mrs. Cooper,
Yes.
Mr. Frisbee,
Yes.
Mr. Jones,
Yes.
Mrs. Minnick,
Yes.
Mr. Owen,
Yes.
Mr. Rude,
Yes.
and Mrs. Smart.
Yes.
Do I have a motion and a second for discussion for contracts and agreements, number 10?
So moved.
Second.
This is the Blast IU 17 Darts software agreement for this school year and girls wrestling co-op agreement with Towanda School District and Troy School District for the 23 and 24 school year. Any discussion on these items? Okay, when you're ready, Christine.
Mr. Terrell
Yes.
Mrs. Cooper,
Yes.
Mr. Frisbee,
Yes.
Mr. Jones,
Yes.
Mrs. Minnick,
Yes.
Mr. Owen,
Yes.
Mr. Rude,
Yes.
Mrs. Smart,
Yes.
and Ms. Braun.
Yes.
Thank you. Number 11, policies. Do I have a motion and a second to bring forth all the policies for
So-
discussion?
Ooh, Sorry, I went way
Go
ahead of
ahead.
you.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, so we have all the policies A through R. We are going to table letter S, policy 305. And then we have T and U. Any discussion on any of these policies? And then the one policy for the athletic committee to look over as well. Okay, so again, we're voting for A through R, tabling S, T, U. When you're ready, Christine.
Mrs. Cooper,
Yes.
Mr. Frisbee,
Yes.
Mr. Jones,
Yes.
Mrs. Minnick,
Yes.
Mr. Owen,
Yes.
Mr. Rude,
Yes.
Mrs. Smart,
Yes.
Ms. Braun,
Yes.
and Mr. Terrell
Yes. Number 12, curriculum and instruction items. Do I have a motion and a second to bring forth this for discussion?
So moved.
Second.
Okay, letter A, we have the band trip to Boston, May of 24. And we have the overnight field trip request for Science Olympiad for the 23-24 school year. Any discussion for these? The only question I had, and I just remembered it, was it says for May, Boston field trip, but the agenda shows April 26th or the 28th.
Yeah.
It's changed since then? Okay,
It's the third through the fifth of
Is it the
May.
third through the fifth, or is it the
The
26th?
26th to 28th was crossed out.
I think it was changed to May because of the schedule.
okay, that's changed on there.
Yeah, it's
So
on
let's
this
just
list.
keep
It's
in
on that
mind prom then too,
Got it.
because last year science,
Okay.
yeah, they have
It's the
something
third
I
and
saw that
fifth.
then.
the end of May, the end of
The
May.
green.
Wasn't updated.
Yeah, I think that.
Okay, that was the only question I had.
No. That's okay.
All right, if there's no other questions, Christine?
Because we have it right.
Mr. Frisbee,
Yes.
Mr. Jones,
Yes.
Mrs. Minnick,
Yes.
Mr. Owen,
Yes.
Mr. Rude,
Yes.
Mrs. Smart,
Yes.
Ms. Braun,
Yes.
Mr. Terrell
Yes.
and Mrs. Cooper.
Yes.
Do I have a motion and a second for transportation items for discussion and voting?
Can I just ask Mr. Clark to do something
Sure.
first with these trips? Last year, there was conflict between prom and I think a science Olympiad trip. Yeah, so and that was moved, right?
State science Olympiad, national science, or Pennsylvania science Olympiad moved to state.
Okay, Just-
After we already had the.
right, yeah, I just want to make sure, because now this is like two trips there. So Science Olympiad has something this prior weekend, and then now the band will be leaving, like just. I don't know if we can set the date. Okay, so let's get prom scheduled so that everybody knows ahead of time if they want to do trips. Okay. All right, so just so we're all. Okay,
Okay, again, transportation for motion and a second. Thank you, Mr. Clark.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, we have one item on here. It's a bus driver for Chambers Busing. If there's any discussion on this? Not. Christine?
Mr. Jones,
Yes.
Mrs. Minnick.
Yeah.
Mr. Owen,
Yes.
Mr. Rude,
Yes.
Mrs. Smart,
Yes.
Ms. Braun,
Yes.
Mr. Terrell
Yes.
Mrs. Cooper,
Yes.
and Mr. Frisbee.
Yes.
Up next, under other business, we have the school board meeting dates. Do I have a motion and a second to bring this forward?
So moved.
second,
Okay, these are all of 24, January to December of 24's meeting dates. Any discussion on these?
I just want to bring everyone's attention to March. The March work session will actually be at the Northern Tier Career Center, where we'll participate in a dinner and a tour of all the
Okay.
facilities.
Nice.
There may not be committees that evening,
Okay,
just as a heads up.
Craig, can you send out the notifications for all these, assuming we vote to approve?
If you guys approve this, I'll make sure, make it a priority.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay, there's no other discussion. Christine?
Mrs. Minnick,
Yes.
Mr. Owen,
Yes.
Mr. Rude,
Yes.
Mrs. Smart,
Yes.
Ms. Braun,
Yes.
Mr. Charles
Yes.
Mrs. Cooper,
Yes.
Mr. Frisbee,
Yes.
and Mr. Jones.
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Visitor comments, please give your name, the organization which you represent, the subject matter. It is requested comments be kept to 3 minutes. Comments relative to private student or employee matters should be directed to the superintendent outside of the meeting. Are there any visitor comments at this time? Seeing none, we'll move on. Thank you. We have some board communication items here. We have personal transfers. We have some field trip requests. Early graduation application. ASAG Spring Drama presents Beauty and the Beast. And the Sunday facility use request for November of 23. Do we have any board discussion items at this time?
Yes.
What?
So the ASAG spring drama. I didn't see anything on the personnel list. Who is our, what's going on with the drama club? Do we have a director?
Carly Vaughn, yeah.
That's exciting.
Yes, very excited about that.
Very exciting.
Just as a note, just so everybody knows, we're gonna put in the board information items moving forward, any applications we have for early graduation. The board has directed me to approve those and to notify the board of those, and that's not that you guys have to take vote on that. We didn't want to have a voting action on those, so
Unless the board
that's why you'll
wishes to
see
change that,
those. That's why you want to see those. You'll see those in the information items
Okay.
only moving forward.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay, I only have one thing under board discussion items. This is Lisa Braun's last meeting with us. I'd like to thank her for all her time. She is a dedicated servant to the community. She was a valued member of this board. She was during COVID, she was very helpful during those discussions, and we appreciate that, and she will truly be missed. I know Mr. Johnson has some big shoes to fill, but we're gonna miss her greatly, and we just appreciate all your time and enjoy your Tuesdays off, and hopefully you'll tune in once in a while to watch us.
Thank you.
But thank you very much. Thank you. There's no other discussion. Our next meeting is our reorganization meeting, which is Tuesday, December 5th. And it is here at the admin building at 7 o'clock. Committees will still meet at 6:15. If there's no other discussion, there is no executive session needed tonight. If there's a motion and a second to adjourn, we'll adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
Thank you all for coming.